The Pokémon world is one that is full of mystery and wonder, from Pokémon that can time travel to entire towns that are full of ghosts. The Pokémon world is so full of amazing stories and facts that it really can't be told in one video. Nonetheless, today, we are going to check out some amazing Pokémon facts that you probably don't know. So buckle up because it's going to get crazy. What sort of amazing facts are hiding under the surface of this colorful world? Let's find out together. Number 10. The first Pokémon wasn't Pikachu. Of course, you might be tempted to answer Pikachu or Arceus when someone asks you the question, who was the very first Pokémon? But you'd be surprised to know that it is neither Pikachu nor Arceus that is the first Pokémon to be introduced. Well, canonically, the answer is Arceus for sure, as the lore states that Arceus is the first ever Pokémon to exist in the universe, from whom all the Pokémon of the universe were born. But realistically, it was Raiden that was the first Pokémon that was ever designed. Not Pikachu, not Charmander, not any of them. Ken Sugimori, one of the first illustrators for Pokémon, designed Raiden before any other Pokémon and used it as a placeholder for the first 3 games. Number 9. The prototype names. Pokémon names are super iconic and recognized worldwide now. If you show a picture of a small yellow mouse with red cheeks, almost anyone in the world would say the name Pikachu. That's how iconic the series has become. But there's a good chance that instead of Pikachu, people could have been saying the name Jean-Luc. You heard that right? Many of the Pokémon names were initially very different compared to what they are today. Arguably, some of these names were a little cooler as well. For example, the Generation 1 Pokémon Coughing and its evolution, Wheezing, had the names Nai and La. The names were direct references to 2 cities with the highest amount of air pollution in the world, New York and Los Angeles. Now that's creative. Number 8. Western influence for the first time. The Pokémon franchise in particular is one that prides itself on being 100% authentically Japanese, with all the staff and illustrators for the game and series being Japanese. Although this policy has been criticized by international media, the Pokémon Company states that things have historically been this way to keep Western influence out on their beloved franchise. But for the first time in history, the Pokémon Company was seen publicly hiring a Westerner, James Turner, to illustrate Pokémon for them, and he did an amazing job. Turner is the person behind the terrifying design for Guzzlord, the freakish Ultra Beast, which is absolutely terrifying to look at. Perhaps the company will relax its rules and allow for more contribution from the international community soon. Number 7. The Three Musketeers. The Three Musketeers is one of the most popular and well-known literary pieces of work. Written by Alexandre Dumas and published in 1844, it has become a well-known piece of literature and is often taught in schools as well for its themes on social structures, 19th century injustices, and many other socially relevant and historically important aspects. But what's surprising is that the characters from this novel, Athos, Porthos, and Aramis, are actually the inspiration for the legendary trio Cobalion, Terrakion, and Virizion in the Pokémon world. Additionally, Keldeo, the 4th member of the Swords of Justice group, can be seen as the stand-in for D'Artagnan, the protagonist of the book. 6th, Team Rocket is the most evil. The most interaction we have with Team Rocket in the series and games is lighthearted at best and disappointing at most. Team Rocket has also garnered a reputation for being extremely goofy because of Jessie and James, the main antagonists of every episode in the Pokémon series. The 2 Team Rocket grunts often come up with some sort of comic plan to abduct Pikachu and Ash's Pokémon, which initially succeeds and finally is foiled. But in reality, the Team Rocket organization is much more dark and nefarious in operation. They are responsible for crimes against humanity and Pokémon, and have done acts like illegal gene splicing and experimentation on Pokémon. Giovanni, the leader of Team Rocket, is the one who is responsible for the creation of Mewtwo. Number 5. Gore Galore. You've probably watched the Pokémon series and played the games and had one thing pop into your head. How in the world are these Pokémon able to throw such huge balls of fire and drown each other in water with such impunity? Well, in reality, what is shown to us is not reality. When Pokémon battle in the universe, we usually see the Pokémon sustain great amounts of damage before finally fainting. But the manga tells a very different story. In the manga, most Pokémon who suffer large amounts of damage and get hit by earth-shattering moves like Focus Punch, Fire Blast, and Solar Beam don't just faint, they straight up die. But the anime decided to not bring this aspect over as they wanted to cater to children. But the games still hint at the fact that these Pokémon die. Number 4. Kidnapper Pokémon. While humans kidnapping Pokémon may not seem like something that is out of the blue, it would surprise you to know that there is something much scarier out there. And that is, there are Pokémon that kidnap humans. And the worst part is that no one knows what happens to these people once they get kidnapped. Well, you might be wondering which terrifying Pokémon it might be. Perhaps the horrifying Grimmsnarl? But you'd be wrong because it's none other than the gently drifting Drifloon and its evolution Drifblim. These Pokémon have been confirmed to abduct people and take them away to a place that no one knows. But what's terrifying is that once these people get abducted, they completely disappear, never to be heard from again. Do the Pokémon steal their souls? Harvest their organs? Eat them alive? We just will never know. Number 3. The Last Games. The Pokémon universe has been here for nearly 30 years now, and we have gotten several generations of Pokémon, all with their own unique traits, types, abilities, and powers. But there was a certain point in time when the team behind Pokémon were sure that with Generation 2, the series would come to an end. You heard that right. Pokémon had originally only planned for 2 generations of creatures. The franchise was originally supposed to end with Gold and Silver because the creators of the franchise believed that the demand for their game would die down, and they would need to focus on new projects. But as we know, the game and the Pokémon franchise only grew in popularity with the release of Gold and Silver, which triggered the development and planning for a perpetual Pokémon universe. Number 2. Over 30 billion cards. Pokémon cards are easily one of the most valuable collectibles to ever be released. Ever since Nintendo released collectible Pokémon cards in 1998, people have gone crazy for them and have collected them like fanatics, looking for rare versions of the cards that were hidden in packs. Over the years, the Pokémon Company has sold nearly 30 billion cards worldwide, with that number only continuing to grow each day. Pokémon cards remain valuable, with some cards like the ultra-rare Illustrator Edition Pikachu card starting anywhere from $150,000. The costliest card to ever be appraised is a similar Pikachu Illustrator card, valued at nearly $5 million. So the next time people say you can't make a career out of Pokémon, just show them this figure. Number 1. Mimikyu. Very few Pokémon have a backstory as terrifying as Mimikyu's, and that's saying a lot considering this is the world of Pokémon, where most Pokémon are living either in perpetual agony or have some other dark lore hidden behind their smiles. Okay, perhaps the second half of that statement is slightly exaggerated, but the first part definitely isn't. But more than terrifying, Mimikyu's story is one that will actually leave your heart broken because at the end of the day, Mimikyu is just a Pokémon who wants to be loved, which is why it hides under a rag that's crudely shaped like Pikachu, a Pokémon that is perceived well by the community and beloved. It's said that this Pokémon actually hides under this rag because anyone who gazes on its true form dies from terror and shock.